Hi, Tony DeWitt here, Missouri appellate attorney and a guy who likes to make the law make sense on YouTube. Today we're going to talk about the Dobbs decision and what it means and whether or not it's rational to be upset about it and whether or not it's rational to believe that this is just the first step in eliminating other perceived rights. We'll talk about that in just a moment. If you're a student of how decisions get made and how people can become motivated, it does some good sometimes to pay attention not only to what actually happened, but what actually happened is portrayed, particularly in the media. Now, this is a tactic used by both sides. Democrats are no more guilty of it than Republicans, but fear is often used to sell a particular agenda. I'll give you a good example. The fear of Muslim immigration, the idea that we don't want to have Muslims come into the country. That's based on fear. It's based on the idea that you might someday be in a mall and somebody blows it up. The fear works because people are easily motivated by fear, and they fear most what they don't know. Unfortunately, rather than look at all of the good people that are out there, they allow their vision and their judgment to be clouded by the actions of about 0.001% of them. So it's important, I think, to recognize when you hear words that make you scared, that it's time to look beyond what is being asserted to find out what the truth actually is. Now, yesterday, Ilhan Omar put out a tweet on the most recent Supreme Court decision about prayer. And of course, the reason that she did that was to induce fear. And that's much of what is happening in the Dobbs decision. The Supreme Court did not outlaw abortion. What it did is it said that Roe v. Wade and Casey, which relied upon it, were badly decided and should no longer be followed. And instead, they adopted they basically said that it is up to the states to regulate abortion. Now, why is that a good ruling? It's a good ruling because the elected legislators in every state are directly accountable to the people. If the people do not want abortion bans, they can vote those people out of office and replace them with people who will strike them down. If you look around, you'll find that there are a number of states, California, New York, Illinois, Washington State, that effectively do not ban abortions. And as a result of that, there will always be a place for people to go to obtain abortions. So the idea that the Supreme Court outlawed abortion, and I've seen that a dozen times on Twitter, the idea that they are doing that is just flat wrong. They are not outlawing abortion. What they're doing is they're saying that Roe was poorly decided. And it was poorly decided based on history and prior precedent. And just like Plessy versus Ferguson, which was badly decided and which disadvantaged an entire generation of young African Americans, the Roe decision did exactly the same thing. The only difference is that the disadvantage here was not being alive so that you could take advantage of the other blessings of liberty. So the idea that they banned it is wrong, and if you read the opinion, that's what you'll find. In fact, the holding makes clear that all they do is return to the states the right to regulate abortion. Now, in the states that are sometimes referred to as the red states, that tends to be a decision that normally goes in favor of heavily regulating and heavily restricting the right to abortion. And that's because in those states, the right to life is considered sacred. The reason it's considered sacred is because everybody should have a chance at life. That's the theory. And I believe that is probably the best biblical interpretation of the right to life. If you want to make abortion legal in your state, you have to work to unseat the people who made it illegal. And that's the way a representative republic works. You have people that you elect to do your will, and if they don't do your will, you take them out of office legitimately through an election. That's how this works. Now, for all of the young women out there who are terribly upset by this and who are buying into this fear campaign about how they no longer have control and no longer have choice, a couple of things. First, you still have choice. You have a choice not to engage in unprotected sex. There are many different ways to prevent pregnancy, and you should certainly avail yourself of them. So in case you can't tell, I agree generally with the decision. I'm a Bible-believing Christian, and so that's where my beliefs come in. But this is a free country, and nobody repealed the First Amendment. And so you have a right to decide these issues for yourself about where you come down. And I encourage you to do that. But remember, all this opinion did was turn this back to the legislatures of the many states. And whether you agree with the idea that abortion should be legal or you disagree with the idea, that is a good thing. Because the people have a right in a republic to decide the direction that they need to go. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a marvelous day.